Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford as usual, and it's a bit chilly. That's why I've got my parka on. I'm buttoned up. Shock horror. There's a story about Jadon Sancho coming to Manchester United. Now, listen, we're entering the final week of the transfer deadline. We've got till October the 5th to get this Sancho deal done, if there is any hope of it getting done. And the latest reports are this morning that United are going to go in with one final offer. I think it was reported it's been reported pretty much everywhere this morning, to be honest with you. A lot of tweets going around late last night, early this morning. Some of the papers have had it. The Mail have got it. They've said Manchester United prepare bid for Jadon Sancho worth up to £90 million with an initial £65 million outlay, as they hope Borussia Dortmund will lower their £108 million demand in final week of transfer window. Now, we know the script, what's going on here in terms of the deal and what Dortmund want. Borussia Dortmund wanted €120 million. They set a deadline of August the 10th. That deadline obviously came and went. Manchester United, we believe, had agreed terms with Jadon Sancho, but couldn't reach an agreement with intermediaries for Borussia Dortmund. So there was no deal there in place. United wanting to pay less, Dortmund wanting the full amount, wanting it by August the 10th. That obviously didn't happen. So now it's been at this sort of impasse. I keep using this word. I've been using that word for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Use the word stalemate if you want, whatever you want to call it, brinkmanship. We're just not there yet. We're waiting for them to move, they're waiting for us to move, and nothing's happened. Now, Liam Bradford from the BBC, I know Liam, he's a good lad, he said Manchester United are going back to Dortmund with an offer for Jadon Sancho this week. There's a feeling of frustration that things are taking as long as they are. He couldn't be more right if he tried, especially amongst the fans. We're all frustrated with it. That was quoted by Simon Stone, also from the BBC, another reliable source. He says Dortmund's still sticking to mantra that their deadline was 10th of August and United missed it. Interesting week ahead. So it looks like this is United's last chance to get Jadon Sancho. United have to go in with a bid and hope that Dortmund, because time is running out, because this is a take it or leave it type offer, will take it rather than leave it. Now, over the last few weeks, we've been going over this transfer. We've been speaking to various sources. We've spoken to Christian Falk. We've spoken to Florian Plettenberg, who covers Bayern Munich for Sport 1 over in Germany, a very reputable site. We've spoken to Patrick Berger, I'm going to say it even though it winds everyone up, not the former Liverpool player, but another journalist for Sport 1 who covers Dortmund. They've all been saying that, you know what, there's either little or no chance of this happening. Christian Falk said by each day it was getting smaller. Plettenberg and Berger said they didn't think it was going to happen. Now, other sources, other top-tier journalists, Tier 1 journalists, say there is still hope, but there's not a lot of hope that this deal could get done. Now, Fabrizio Romano, who is Mr. Reliable, he spoke about Sancho over the weekend, and he said, Sancho, still the same, €120 million or nothing. Dortmund have not received any new bid. So this week, we've got to have a bid from Manchester United. Now, this is a massive gamble, in my opinion, for Manchester United and Ed Woodward if this fails. If United go in with a bid that's not €120 million and Dortmund say, no, you knew the deal, you knew the deadline, you knew the fee, we're not having it, then United are going to look pretty stupid. If United go in for a bid of €120 million and Dortmund said, you knew the deal, you knew the deadline, you've missed it, United are going to look pretty stupid. If United go in with a bid of whatever and get it, then United will look okay. Look, right, we've got the deal done eventually. But if this doesn't happen, there's going to be a lot of anger. There's always a lot of anger at United. But there is a real sense amongst many of the fans, you'll have seen it on social media, you've heard it, that we're not happy with what's gone on this summer. You know, we brought in one player, Donny van der Beek, and that's been it so far. We've spent all this time getting Jadon Sancho, and if we don't get him, Ed Woodward and Matt George or whoever are going to have a lot of explaining to do. Now, over the weekend on Sky Sports News, you may have seen Andy Mitten was on Sky Sports News talking about Manchester United and transfers. Andy Mitten is, of course, the editor of United We Stand. He's also a very prominent journalist. He's been on Fanzine Fridays for us. He used to employ me. I used to sell the fanzine just over there for United We Stand. He said that Manchester United have lost the ability to do the dark arts with transfers. Under Fergie, we used to be able to get almost any player we went after in a way. You know, we'd be able to get the Robin van Persies or the Dimitar Berbatovs or whoever. We'd let them know we wanted him. We'd get them to almost force the move, and that's sort of gone missing. He also spoke about how United fans do not have a lot of faith in the club's recruitment policy. that's a bit of an understatement, really, I suppose, because we don't have a lot of faith in it. We saw last week Patrice Evra was speaking out about United and transfers, and he sort of threw Matt Judge under the bus, and everyone was like, oh, Matt Judge, you know, he's incompetent, he's this, that and the other. Evra was, I felt, pretty kind towards both the Glazers and, well, at least Avram Glazer and Ed Woodward. He said Ed Woodward's just surrounded by the wrong people. But Ed Woodward's been in the job now for, what, 7 years? And we're still seeing this sort of dithering. It's not good enough, and I think Ed Woodward will be under a lot of pressure if we don't get the Jadon Sancho deal done, and possibly even one more, because Jadon Sancho and Donny van der Beek, yes, they're two very good signings, especially you look at how Donny van der Beek already looks like a good signing, and the fact that Sancho's one of the real talents there is in European football. But are those two players enough this summer? We all thought there'd be at least 3 signings, so even if we get, say, Jadon Sancho done, I still think we need another player to come in, and on that front, Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about Alex Telles. He said, Telles and Man United found an agreement on personal terms. Tonight, this was last night, also on last details and agents' commissions. United are in talks with Porto about the fee. Man United also have, in inverted commas, a plan B. Half the time, I don't even think United have got a plan A, let alone a plan B. So Alex Telles to Manchester United looks like it's still on. We're hearing that United are looking at around a 20 million or just under a 20 million euro fee or £1 million fee, sorry. Porto want a little bit more than that, so we'll have to see what happens with that one. There's other reports that Manchester United are convinced that a Porto agreement soon for Alex Telles. They feel that it's all about to happen. There's no drama there, and it'll be this week. So we could see 2 bids going in this week. We could see one for Alex Telles and one for Jadon Sancho. Whether we'll see both those players arrive here before October the 5th, we'll have to wait and see. Now, in terms of outgoings, there's a lot of talk and rumours about players leaving the club. And again, I don't want to keep going back to him, but he is pretty reliable. Fabrizio Romano was talking about how Lazio are in for Andreas Pereira. He said Lazio have opened talks with Manchester United to sign Andreas Pereira. He's considered as an option. Negotiations with MUFC have just started. Now, a couple of people have got that, probably picked it up off him, to be fair, that Andreas Pereira, a player who obviously is surplus to requirements here, really, and he's not getting much of a look in. You wouldn't expect him to have a feature much this season. I know he did play a lot of football for Manchester United last season. Played, I think, about 40 games. I forget the exact number, but since then, Paul Pogba's come back from injury. Nemanja Matic is now sort of being lauded again by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's an integral part of this team. We brought in Donny van der Beek, and you just look at it and you think, you know, is Andreas Pereira ever going to get much of many more appearances for Manchester United this season? I don't think he is. Makes sense for him to move on. Lazio, not a bad club to go to be honest with you. If you wanted to go somewhere, I mean, Italian football may suit him a little bit better. We've seen that Chris Smalling went to Roma. I'll get to that in a minute as well, because there's more talk on that and how he shone there. So Lazio apparently in for Andreas Pereira. A deal could be made there. Also, there's reports that they're looking at Juan Mata. He could be going over to Serie A there. I'm not sure how concrete that interest is. There's a report, I think, in the Independent and a couple of other places that Juan Mata could be on Lazio's wish list as well. I'm not so sure Juan Mata goes anywhere, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people say we don't need him, he's 32, he's past it and all this stuff. I think Ole likes him. I think he likes having that bit of experience because we have got a relatively young squad. So I'm not sure about Juan Mata, but Andreas Pereira looks like it could be happening to Lazio. One to keep your eye on. Also, I mentioned Chris Smalling earlier. He could be going to Roma. We've heard this on-off deal for ages. He went there on loan last season, had a great season, really shone. Roma fans loved him. He did really well. It looked like he was going to get a permanent move. Roma apparently were willing to pay 12 million. United wanted 20 million pound. The latest story is, latest rumours, much like United with Jadon Sancho, Roma are going to make a last attempt to get him. It's like, you know, time's running out, clock's ticking, all that stuff. So they're going to make one last attempt to take Chris Smalling over to Rome. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. And just finally, another little rumour or story that's doing the rounds. We had this a couple of weeks ago on Transfers Live, and it's popped up again. And this is the story of N'Golo Kante coming here to Old Trafford. Apparently, and I take this with a pinch of salt, as I did when I spoke about it the other week, United have made a surprise inquiry for the 29-year-old. Appears that Chelsea are willing to sell him because they've spent a lot of money and they've got other options there. The only sticking point, or the main sticking point, appears to be his wages. He's on 300k a week, which United wouldn't be willing to pay. Again, take with a pinch of salt, but we'll keep an eye on it. You never know, stranger things have happened. Chelsea obviously went on a mad spending spree. Could Kante be an option? Great player, 29, probably a little bit older than the policy we have here of bringing in the younger players. But you never know. We'll just keep tabs on it, I think we'll say. But the main one we'll be keeping tabs on is Jadon Sancho. And at the moment, he's not here. United are going to go in with a bid, apparently. Whether that's going to be enough to make Dortmund sell him, we'll have to wait and see. We'll be keeping you posted anyway. Any news we get on that Jadon Sancho news, whether it's Jadon Sancho, Alex Telles, we'll obviously have it on the socials. We'll go live. We'll give you an update as soon as it happens. So make sure you stay tuned to Stretford Paddock. It's getting even colder now. I know it's going to get warmer as the day goes on. It's getting colder. My hands are freezing. So I'm going to wrap this up. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. We'll have all the good stuff coming up this week. We've got Howson's Brew later on today. We'll have the Devils podcast. We'll have the Tier 1 podcast. We'll have all that. We'll look towards the Carabao Cup game against Brighton again. Maybe we'll win that one after full time. And then later on in the week, we'll look towards the Premier League as well. So thanks for watching. I've been Jay. This has been The Paper Talk.